Hey everyone, welcome back to the Infatuasian Podcast, a show where we normally talk to and about Asian creators that we love. But this week, we are talking to no one. I am talking to myself. This is going to be a no episode. Yeah, I've never done one totally by myself before. I actually called, well, I didn't call. I actually texted super producer Madison to see if she would have time to chat with me tonight about nothing. But it turns out college kids are busy or, I don't know, ignoring me. But anyway, it's just going to be me tonight, which is kind of new. I've thought about trying to do this before, just talking about myself, but it's never actually panned out. So anyway, so this is the night. It's taken us 3 years, but we finally have an episode with just me. It's kind of liberating in a sense. You don't understand, like, to get guests is kind of a lot of work. For every episode we have with a guest, that equals probably at least 5 to 10 no's or ghosting or people ignoring me. So every time I get a guest on, you should realize that there's a lot of rejection in between getting those guests. So anyway, this is easy. I don't have to get a guest or anything. It's just me in my basement talking in hushed tones because my kids are falling asleep because it's already a school night. So anyway, so what have I been so busy doing? Well, I've been doing a lot of stuff kind of related to the pod. Like last Thursday, Connie Chung was in town. She was down at Menlo Park at Kepler's bookstore, and I got to see her. We didn't have a meet and greet. There were over 100 people there, so it was just too crowded and, COVID, and it was kind of late at night. It started at 8 o'clock, and so she skedaddled right after it was over. She goes, I got to get out of here because she said she's old and she needs her sleep. So we didn't get to meet her, but she gave a little talk, and it was super fun, and the audience was great. It was a really fun time. And then on Friday, just this last Friday, September 27th, I got to go to a cool event at the Asian Art Museum. I know your feed, if you follow on Instagram, might have been blowing up, but the Asian Art Museum has this cool exhibit called the Hallyu, the Korean Wave exhibit, which is really cool. It's been traveling around the country, but it's here in San Francisco for 3 months, and it's down at the Asian Art Museum, which is a really cool place. I'll talk about that more in a second. But they had an opening gala, and I got to go, and it was really cool. It was really fun. I'll talk a little bit more about the exhibit because we're going to interview someone from there. So that was Friday. I went there with my youngest daughter. And then just yesterday, on Monday, down in Chinatown, Asian Ink and the On Waverly Gift Shop Bookstore had a really cool event. They had a band called Chanpan from New York. They're kind of an indie. They're really hard to describe. But they did an acoustic set at the bookstore, so we were like 2 feet away from them, and they're great. They are fantastic, and hopefully they're coming on the podcast. We talked about it before, but they're super busy, so when they get back to New York, we'll get them on the podcast and talk about their music. They're very smart, very intelligent, very creative, and super funny too. So anyway, that was yesterday. So all these things have piled up this weekend. Hence the reason we don't have a podcast today. So anyway, at the event last night, I got to meet someone very cool. I got to meet Leanne Wong Lam, who's the president of the Contemporary Asian Theater Scene, which is kind of an arts organization in San Jose. And they're putting on the 10th annual Silicon Valley Asian Pacific Film Fest. And it'll be October 18th through 20th, mostly in San Jose, which is really cool. But this Friday, October 4th, there's going to be a special showing of Didi at the AMC Eastridge in San Jose. There's going to be a Q&A session with one of the producers, David Liu. So if you haven't seen Didi yet, this is a good chance to see it. You should see it with a crowd. It's going to be streaming soon, which is fine. You should see it in any way you can. But seeing it live, no, it's not live, but seeing it in a theater filled with people, there's a lot of squirming that's going to be going on. It's so cringy. It's so funny. And yeah, it's going to be really fun to see with the crowd. So you should definitely go see that. I think it's at 7:30. I think it's $8 at the AMC Eastridge. So I'll put a link to the Silicon Valley Asian Pacific Film Fest in my show notes. You should definitely go check it. There's some cool stuff going on there. I'm going to try to make it down there. But yeah, like I just said, time is a problem right now. So we'll see. All right, for the rest of this non-episode, I figured I would just kind of tease some of the stuff that is coming up. We have a really cool recording this week, like 2 days from now. We have a really cool recording coming up with an author named Ellie Yang Camp, and she wrote a book called Louder Than the Lies, and the subtitle of that is Asian American Identity, Solidarity, and Self-Love. Yeah, it's a really cool book. It's not apolitical, but it is more just kind of a layman's look into Asian identity and just kind of who we are and how we got here and where do we fit into this country and how we should respond to lots of things that are happening to us and our people. It's a really good book, and it's so thought provoking. And so we're doing an interview with Ellie on Thursday, so that episode's coming up very, very soon. And then on Saturday, a few days from now, my friends from high school, Glenn, Jennifer, and I are doing an episode at Jollibee. Yeah, we're going to go to the first Jollibee in America, which happens to be in Daly City, California, where I live. And so we're going to do an episode from the Jollibee. So that's going to be really, really fun and delicious, of course. So I got to do some cardio before that just to make sure I don't overeat at the Jollibee up the street. After that, we're doing a K-drama episode with my old pals Nadira, Jennifer, and special guest Leah from the Afternoon of Delight podcast. We are doing a Halloween-themed K-drama draft episode. So you know how we do the draft, right? We pick dramas. But we're going to do one where we talk about bloody dramas, spooky dramas, creepy dramas, dramas with zombies, dramas with villains. So we're going to talk about a little bit of the darker stuff, which is super fun. Korea does spooky kind of well. So there's going to be some fun stuff. So that is coming up in around Halloween time. And also around Halloween time, you guessed it, we're going to do another Asian ghost story episode with my friends from Galileo. We're going to do it with Jackie and Vicky again. So that will be super fun. We're recording that at school as usual. And so I think that will be our actual Halloween episode. We'll do that one. And then speaking of the Hallyu event at the Asian Art Museum, we are going to chat with the curator at the museum, Yoonji Choi. She put it together, and we're going to record it at the museum. So that'll be really fun. There's going to be you'll obviously hear some noise from the museum, but I think it's going to be really fun to do it at the museum. And if you haven't been there, old timers, you know this. The Asian Art Museum is the old main library. Remember that? So when you first walk in, there's this majestic staircase that goes up to the second floor, and it's just an amazing building. This exhibit is amazing. It's got a little K-drama in it. It's got actual costumes from Squid Game, from Kingdom. It's got a lot of cool stuff. And K-pop stuff. It's got K-pop costumes too from, like there's some that are worn by G-Dragon, some that are worn by aespa. So it's very, very cool. It's a very cool exhibit. So we'll talk it up more, but that's coming up at the end of October as well. And then, probably in November, we have our old season one. Well, I don't really do seasons, but first year guest. It's Kat Liu from Subtle Asian Baking, but she's also written 2 cookbooks. She's written Modern Asian Baking at Home and also The Modern Asian Kitchen. And both of them are great. And I think she's coming out with a 3rd book, so we'll tease that one as well. All right. So that just about does it for October and early November. The rest of November is filled with maybes. Yeah, I have some cool ones. I don't want to announce it here because these are people who said they said yes, they would come on, but we haven't picked a date yet. So I don't want to jinx it and tell you who it is and then nothing works out. But I think it's going to happen. We just got to pick the dates. and get on a call and record and all that stuff. So November will be exciting as well, of course. Lots of good stuff. That's about all I have to announce. So where are we? About 10 minutes in. All right, so this is a short little episode, hopefully not too boring. Oh, hey, students, if any of you, my students, are listening all the way to the end of this thing, I'll give you a point of extra credit if you mention this right now. So is that corrupt? Is that, I don't know. You know? Oh, well. No one listens to this podcast. And if you're actually listening to this point, let me know. Even past students, if you graduated from Galileo and I was your teacher, I'll give you a point of extra credit retroactively. It'll go on your permanent transcript. You can show it off to your friends that you really had an extra point in AP Bio. All right. Anyway, that's it for this episode. That's not even an episode. It's a fake episode. But thank you for listening. If you're actually listening to this far, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all the support, even on these non-episode episodes. Who knows? Let me know if you really like this format of me just talking to myself. Let me know. I'm down to do this every week if you want, but I think it'd be boring. So anyway, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.